What's up, guys? Today we're going to check out a car that I've been interested in since I first saw it at the Detroit Auto Show back in 2018. It's the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Now, I've been interested in this and, of course, the Giulia, which this car is based on, for a couple years now, but I've never gotten my hands on one. Of course, I'm more interested in checking out the Quadrifoglio, but this is the first one I was able to get in my hands to check out and review. So the first couple things I noticed when I got into this vehicle, the first time I drove it was at night. So I couldn't find the start-stop button, which in fact is on the steering wheel, not on the dash like most cars. And then I was having problems trying to get it into gear because the shifter, it's got a lot of functions on it, so I couldn't figure out how to put it into reverse. Got that figured out. So when you first step into the car, the exterior I think is pretty flamboyant. It's real flashy, but the interior kind of bland and subdued. I mean, it's fully functional and it's made well, but it's kind of bland on the inside compared to the outside. And the seats, they're supportive, but the side bolsters are really wide and they're not that big. So, I'm kind of flopping around in the seat a little bit. I was hoping they would be a little bit more supportive. I'm sure they are on the Quadrifoglio version, but today we're in the Stelvio Tie all-wheel drive, which has a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It puts out 280 horsepower, 306 foot-pounds of torque, and that's plenty of power for this little car. Another thing that I noticed is with the 8-speed transmission is it shifts a lot, and when you have it in dynamic mode, the shifts are pretty harsh. And it shifts all the time, up, down, a lot of shifting. But on the highway, it's real quiet. But I did notice I was driving above the speed limit without really noticing. I was, going about 80, 85. This car seems to like to cruise around at that speed, which isn't a bad thing. But if you buy one, make sure you pay attention to your speedometer so you don't get a bunch of tickets. So the first year the Giulia came out, it was Car of the Year, and I think multiple car magazines. But since then, when they realized what their reliability was like, they haven't gotten as much positive press. As far as the driving dynamics go and everything like that, they still rave about the suspension, the handling, but not so much the braking. But since then, they put some miles on them, and they are plagued with issues, unfortunately. This vehicle in particular that I'm driving, it's an 18, it has 16,000 miles on it. And the radio and infotainment screen has cut out on me multiple times in the short period I've had this car in my possession. So that's definitely got a glitch. It does come back on. It doesn't go back to the original settings or anything, but it does come back on after a few minutes, which is weird. And the power hatch, it opens no problem, but when you hit the button on the hatch itself to close it, it just beeps, and the button seems to be stuck, and it will not close, so I had to do that manually. But other than that, the driving dynamics are awesome. The steering is super precise. You barely have to touch the steering wheel to get any kind of input out of it, so I really like that. But the brakes, on the other hand, the pedal's hard. Stopping distance is pretty far, and the initial bite of the pad is almost non-existent. So you really have to get on the brakes, which I was kind of surprised when you see the calipers later in the video. You'll be like, oh, that's got some pretty good brakes. They are not. They look nice, not so good for stopping. So in today's review, we're going to do a walk around of the exterior and interior. We're going to get it up on the rack. We're going to do a POV drive so you guys can see or experience what it's like to actually drive this vehicle. And then we'll talk about what I think about it at the end of the video. So stay tuned. This Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI all-wheel drive is finished in Vesuvius Gray Metallic, which is a $600 option over a black leather interior. 19-inch wheels are standard, but this has the optional 20 by 8.5-inch wheels, which is an additional $750 option. The vehicle does have to be unlocked for this fuel door to open. Unfortunately, I found that out the hard way. It has massive rear exhaust tips, but the actual exhaust is much smaller, as you can see, and I'll show you that later when it's up on the rack. The aluminum roof rails are standard, and you can get an optional trailer tow package, but the vehicle will only tow up to 3,000 pounds. The painted red brake calipers is also a $350 option. Standard, they come in silver with black writing. This vehicle also has bi-xenon headlamps, which are standard. And there's the famous Alfa Romeo grille. Here's a closer look at the wheels and the 4-piston Brembo brakes. The base rear-wheel drive Stelvio starts at $41,345. This all-wheel drive TI model costs $51,040. The insanely fast 505 horsepower Quadrifoglio starts at $80,245. Now let's check out the interior. You can see it has a nice wood inlay on the driver's door panel. This one does have memory seats and also the optional Harman Kardon sound system, which is a $900 option. We've got the typical switches here on the door panel. There are no cup holders in this door panel. Moving along, we have the headlamp switch and the auto start stop switch. Turn signal high beam switch. It has a simple instrument cluster, which is easy to read. Down onto the steering wheel. Here's the push button start button that I couldn't find at night. It has an 8.8-inch radio display with the optional $900 navigation. Down to the climate controls, it has dual climate control and dual heated seats. Here's the overly complicated shifter and the iDrive knob and the electronic parking brake button. Center console is pretty small. There is a USB and auxiliary port. So look at the passenger side. I do like how they have the logo embossed in the headrests. Up on the ceiling, we have the optional dual pane moonroof. That's a $1,350 option. I'm not a huge fan of sunroofs myself. I usually leave them closed. Here's a look at the back seats. They are fairly tight. I did have a car seat in here earlier and I had to slide the front seat all the way up just to fit it in. There are some vents back here for the passengers and also 2 USB ports. These seats do fold down in a 60-40 fashion and there is a armrest with 2 cup holders. Now let's check out the cargo area. Power liftgate is standard, hands-free liftgate is optional. You see we have the Harman Kardon subwoofer back here. There's only 18.5 cubic feet of cargo space back here with the seats up and 56.5 with the seats folded down. That's well below the average for this segment. You can see it has a latch system for 3 car seats, but there's no way you're fitting 3 car seats in that back seat. Here's the handles to fold the seats down. Here's a look at the toolkit and the owner's manual. I was having trouble getting this hatch closed earlier. Let's see if it closes now. See how the button sticks in? I don't think it was locked, but that button, oh, there we go. Now it's closing. Here's a look at the passenger side. It has the 6-way power seat just like the driver's seat. Alright, so now we're going to do a quick little POV. There's a nice windy road uphill here, so we're going to go ahead and put it in dynamic mode. And we're going to put it in manual just to see what it could do going up these hills and around these bends. I think it should perform pretty well. We'll be able to hear the exhaust, if any. Whoa, this thing gets it! Holy moly! Wow. This thing goes really good for a 4-cylinder. give this guy some space. Maybe we could hit these turns up a little better. Man, this thing handles really good for an SUV. Wow. It's pretty impressive because these are all season tires. Some stickier tires, I think that would have been really good. Put it back into drive, put it back into normal mode. Here's a quick look at a POV at night. We're going to head back to the dealership. We're going to put it up on the rack. I try to do that in all my videos so everyone can get a look at the undercarriage, suspension, and brakes. So if this is the first time checking out my channel, I do that on all my reviews. So if there's any other cars that you see on my channel that you're interested in, you can get a look at all those things on every car. So we got the Stelvio up on the rack. I try to do this in all my videos. So if you're interested in checking out the brakes and undercarriage, make sure you check out all my reviews. So we're going to do a quick walk around here. See the giant dual exhaust tips, but the exhaust is actually much smaller than it dictates. See the rear brakes are just a single piston design. See the front brakes are much larger 4-piston, but like I said, they still do not stop very well. We've got the Continental tires at a 255, 45, 20 all the way around. Around the front here, you see the park aid sensors and also the lens for the crash avoidance system. HID headlamps. Unique Alfa Romeo grille. All right, let's take a look underneath. All right, we got the typical splash shield underneath. You got to remove to change the oil like most new vehicles. Got a bunch of aluminum suspension components here, aside from the front sway bar. There's a backside look at the big calipers that don't really do much. Got the front drive shaft there. We've got a composite oil pan similar to the Fords. And the exhaust comes back here. Got a mid muffler. Back into the rear differential. This car is rear wheel drive bias, so you could also get it in rear wheel drive or all wheel. Massive lower rear control arm, made out of aluminum as well. This has the electronic parking brake like most new cars. And back out to a fairly small muffler. See the drive shaft is hidden behind this heat shield. Up into the catalytic converter there. And that's pretty much it for underneath. Now let's take a look under the hood. I like this nice big yellow hood release. It's easy to find, right in the center. So like I said before, this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Puts out 280 horsepower and 306 foot-pounds of torque, which I believe makes it best in class, and it's plenty of power for this little car. So you take 0W30 engine oil. This car actually has 2 coolant reservoirs, one on each side here. This is where you would jump start the vehicle. It's got this nice big strut brace. washer fluid reservoir. Got your coolant lines. Air box is easily accessible, but it is screwed together instead of just some quick release clips. See the emissions tag there, it's a 2 liter. So after spending just a short time in this Alfa Romeo, I did realize that the driving dynamics overshadow the bland interior, the glitchy electronics, and the lack of storage and towing capacity. By the way, this thing can only tow 3,000 pounds, whether you get the 4-cylinder or the twin-turbo V6 engine. But yeah, the driving experience is fantastic. Took me a minute to get used to it, you know, with all the electronics, the shifter and everything. It does have the auto start-stop system. But after that, just driving the vehicle is a pretty awesome experience. So that's pretty much it for this look at the Stelvio. It's definitely more sport than utility. But like I said, the driving dynamics overshadow all its other shortcomings. The Quadrifoglio is probably even more awesome, and if you live in the greater Pittsburgh area and you have a Quadrifoglio either in the Stelvio or the Giulia and you wouldn't mind me taking it for a spin, I'd love to hear from you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and check out my new Facebook page. And also, if you're interested in some Pittsburgh Views merchandise, head over to teespring.com and get yourself some. Have a great day.